All right, what's up to my Soka Daytons out there? Today, I wanted to just fire up a quick video talking about MicroStrategy and its potential inclusion in the S&P 500. There's an article that was written in Cointelegraph a few days ago. Michael Saylor's strategy has a 91% chance of joining S&P 500 in Q2. Q2, of course, would be of 2026. We are in June. This is written in June 24 of 2025. So for those of you who don't know, in order to be included in the S&P 500, you need to have 4 straight quarters of profitability, and your most recent quarter needs to be profitable, which has been the thing that has been holding MicroStrategy back just a touch because, of course, they were not profitable in the very beginning, as we all know. But with Bitcoin sitting at over 100K as I speak on July 5th, 2025, shout out to everyone for the 4th of July. We are here in a position where MicroStrategy looks like it has a pretty solid chance of being included. Now, why should we care? Why does this matter? I'll get to actually why it matters. Let's start. We'll talk about why it matters right now. If MicroStrategy is included in the S&P 500, that means as an index, all the people that buy index funds that are built around the S&P 500, they will be buying MicroStrategy and indirectly buying Bitcoin. As you know, Michael Saylor has been adamant. As he gains more money, he will buy more Bitcoin. So this inclusion is actually fairly significant for Bitcoin. Now, have we had another very significant player as it relates to cryptocurrency added to the S&P 500 recently? Well, in fact, we have. Coinbase was actually added around 2 months ago. They joined the S&P 500, and people are wondering, is MicroStrategy next? So we'll get there in a moment, but we know what happened when Coinbase was added to the S&P 500. We saw a significant run on Bitcoin there as well. So this article is just essentially pointing out what MicroStrategy needs to do in order to be considered for the S&P 500. Unlike the QQQ, this is not an automatic qualification. So if it meets the parameters, it goes to a board. This is why we need decentralization. If we have these people out there that are against crypto and against Bitcoin, it's going to hurt our chances. But again, we just saw Coinbase was added. So maybe they have some appetite for additional exposure to Bitcoin. By the way, my final point, which is not in this article, I'm kind of just reiterating some of the things that I know from the S&P inclusion from Coinbase. The S&P 500 is currently underexposed in the tech sector, and crypto tech is very glamorous, right? It is the jewel of everyone's eye. So when people are looking at when the committee is considering what and who to add, they're looking at Robinhood right now. They're looking at MicroStrategy. They're looking at companies that fill that tech, Bitcoin, crypto sector. So, that's very bullish for us as we think about the Bitcoin price and crypto prices overall. So MicroStrategy needs cumulative positive earnings over the past 4 quarters. Walton explained that for this to happen, Bitcoin that's sitting at 108 right now must not fall below 95 to 40 before June 30th, which obviously it did not. He explained that if it drops below that, strategy, which has the largest Bitcoin holdings among public companies at 592,345 Bitcoin, will not have the earnings in Q2 more than the last 3 quarters combined. But that didn't happen, of course. So that $592,345 Bitcoin at a Bitcoin price of over 100K is going to be comfortably in a position for MicroStrategy to be added. Walton explained that to be eligible for S&P 500 inclusion, a company must post positive total earnings across the past 4 quarters. Strategy has posted net losses in the past 3 quarters. But the S&P 500 is an index that tracks the stock prices of the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the US. We all obviously know this. On January 1st, Strategy began applying accounting rule ASU 2023-08. This is going to be some excuse my French, some bullshit here, by the way. Oh, we have net losses. Let's do some new accounting rule. And oh, by the way, we're now all of a sudden positive. So they've applied this new accounting rule, and it mandates that Bitcoin holdings be revalued at fair market value. You've heard Trump has famously talked about doing this for gold, but with any gains or losses reflected in net income or loss for each reporting period. Walton bases his forecast on Bitcoin trading at 106 when he published this video, and on historical odds of a 10% drop of Bitcoin over the next six days, with the video release. So he basically, what this is saying is, with this new voodoo accounting that allows the Bitcoin net income to be reflected sooner than it maybe otherwise would have been, he is saying that he was projecting, what are the chances that we see a big drop for Bitcoin by June 30th? Obviously, we already know that. We're looking back at this, so we see that it didn't happen. So now the opportunity for MicroStrategy has, of course, improved. And look, that's very bullish. If MicroStrategy is included in the S&P 500, every holder of the S&P 500 index indirectly owns Bitcoin through MicroStrategy, which of course is very bullish. Talking about 4 additional stocks that might be added to the S&P 500, I want to just point out Robinhood here. I think Robinhood gets put on. Honestly, I full disclosure, I own a lot of Robinhood. I bought a lot of Robinhood 3 years ago. It immediately plummeted 50%, but we are back almost at all-time highs. So that is a stock that, again, is kind of an indirect sympathy crypto play, because as we know, Bitcoin, with their inclusion of Wintermute, the famous market maker in the meme coin space, runs a lot of the crypto market making. So that's very bullish for crypto there. This is talking about, is Bitcoin about to enter the S&P 500? MicroStrategy now qualifies for inclusion. So as of July 4th of July, shout out to all of our American friends out there, it does qualify like we talked about. And so now it goes under, so here they're talking about the previous accounting rules versus the new accounting rules. The FASB, the Financial Accounting Standards Boards, which of course is not some weird shady thing. It does qualify. So it meets the final criteria. So now it can be included. The committee typically considers index balance. So that's what I'm talking about. They're underexposed on tech, and they're definitely underexposed on crypto. Economic representation and stability before making decisions. Analysts are divided on whether MicroStrategy's Bitcoin accumulation model will be an issue for the committee, as some argue that the firm now largely operates like a close-ended fund. Hey, we're those lobbyists when you need them. Whenever, again, it's a committee. It's not decentralized. It's not automatic. We need to, maybe grease the palms of these people. Not insinuating that they take a cut, but let's be real here. And so, anyways, and finally, Reddit. The source, the definitive source on everything that might be crypto and investing. Wall Street Bets. Shout out to Wall Street Bets. But they're talking about it, and essentially, you can kind of read through some of these. I'll go through them slowly. To be honest, I didn't find anything overly persuasive, let's put it that way. But also, again, some of these are 2 months old, so MicroStrategy will not be added. They will be gate kept as long as possible. I'd place a very high bet on no inclusion within the next 5 years. It's possible, but again, this was 2 months ago, before this new accounting method allowed MicroStrategy to look like the GOAT. So anyways, hey, you guys, thank you so much. Leave it in the comments if you think that MicroStrategy will be added to the S&P 500. And if you think that it will be added to the S&P 500, what do you think it's going to do to the price of Bitcoin? I know what I think it's going to do to the price of Bitcoin. I think we are going up, and away. I still firmly believe in Bitcoin to 1 million by 2030. And I'm very hopeful that this is just another pearl on the string of that path. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys all had a good 4th of July and a good time today. Peace out.